Imagine being a paleontologist in the 1940s, dusting sand off ancient bones in the scorching heat of the Mongolian desert. You expect to find the usual suspects: teeth from a raptor, maybe a rib from a hadrosaur, but instead, you pull out a claw. Not just any claw, a curved blade over 3 feet long, bigger than a samurai sword. The first reaction? This had to be a mistake, maybe a prank, or a hoax, because no animal could possibly wield something so ridiculous. And yet, one dinosaur did. Meet Therizinosaurus, the strangest dinosaur you've probably never heard of. A creature so bizarre it looked like a mashup of Frankenstein parts. Giant claws, a pot-belly, a beak, feathers, and a body plan that still leaves scientists scratching their heads. So, what was Therizinosaurus really? Predator? Plant-eater? Monster from a fever dream? And why did it vanish, leaving behind little more than those nightmarish claws? Let's dive in. Therizinosaurus lived during the Late Cretaceous period, about 70 million years ago, in what is now the Gobi Desert of Mongolia. Picture it not as endless sand dunes, but as a lush floodplain with forests of conifers and ferns, rivers winding through marshes, and herds of dinosaurs trudging across the landscape. This was no safe haven, though. Towering predators like Tarbosaurus, Asia's answer to T-Rex, stalked the region. Smaller, faster raptors prowled the underbrush. And then, lumbering through this dangerous world, was Therizinosaurus, a creature that didn't fit the rules. Why? Because unlike its sharp-toothed cousins, Therizinosaurus was a herbivore. Yes, a gentle giant. If you can call a 16 to 20-foot tall, feather-covered dinosaur with murder claws gentle, here's where it gets fun. Those claws, the longest of any known animal, weren't weapons for slashing prey. Instead, most scientists believe they were used like giant gardening tools, pulling down branches or raking foliage into reach. Imagine a prehistoric Edward Scissorhands, but instead of cutting people's hair, he's trimming bushes. Therizinosaurus had a long neck, a small head, and a beak perfect for stripping leaves. Its pot-bellied body suggests it had a massive gut for fermenting all that plant material, like a walking compost bin. And yes, it likely had feathers, not sleek flight feathers, but more like shaggy, quill-like proto-feathers. Picture a giant bird in a bad mood that skipped leg day but went hard on the salad bar. Even stranger. Despite looking like a gentle herbivore, Therizinosaurus belonged to the same group as raptors and T-Rex. In other words, its closest relatives were carnivores. It's like finding out your vegan yoga teacher is actually from a family of professional cage fighters. Now imagine this: the floodplains of Mongolia at dawn. Mist hangs over the water. Herds of duck-billed dinosaurs shuffle to the river to drink. A Tarbosaurus lurks nearby, its massive jaws parting in anticipation. And in the distance, towering over the low vegetation, a shadow rises. Long neck swaying, giant claws clutching at tree branches, a Therizinosaurus. It doesn't run, it doesn't roar, it simply stands, plucking leaves from the canopy, completely unbothered by the chaos of predators and prey around it. The claws that look like weapons are, ironically, its tools of peace. But make no mistake, corner one of these things, and those claws could become deadly defensive scythes. Paleontologists suspect even the mighty Tarbosaurus would have thought twice before messing with a fully grown Therizinosaurus. So, what happened to this feathered oddball? Like many late Cretaceous creatures, Therizinosaurus disappeared in the mass extinction event 66 million years ago. The infamous asteroid, global wildfires, darkness, collapse of ecosystems. But here's the strange part. Because Therizinosaurus is so poorly known, we've only found partial skeletons, no complete ones. We can't say for sure how abundant it was, or how exactly it lived. Some scientists debate whether its claws had additional uses: defense, digging, maybe even mating displays. Others question just how bird-like it was, since reconstructions keep changing with every new fossil. For decades, Therizinosaurus was a scientific mystery. In fact, when the claws were first discovered, paleontologists thought they belonged to a giant turtle. Yes, a turtle. It wasn't until later that the full bizarre picture emerged: a towering, pot-bellied feathered dinosaur that looked like it had been put together in the dark by a committee that couldn't agree. But the real lesson of Therizinosaurus isn't about being scary. It's about adaptation. It shows how evolution can take a family of vicious meat-eaters and, over millions of years, twist one branch into something completely different. A peaceful giant with the anatomy of a nightmare. Proof that life isn't just about survival of the fittest predator. Sometimes survival comes from being the weirdest. And honestly, I kind of love that. So next time you picture dinosaurs, don't just think of the sharp-toothed T-Rex or the speedy Velociraptor. Think of Therizinosaurus, the vegetarian giant with claws longer than swords. A creature so strange that scientists once thought it was fake. But in reality, it was one of evolution's greatest plot twists. What do you think? Were those claws purely for feeding? Or do you buy the theory they doubled as deadly weapons? And if Therizinosaurus had survived the asteroid impact, what might it look like today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love reading your theories. And if you enjoyed unraveling this prehistoric mystery, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There are plenty more bizarre creatures waiting to be explained.